dance, baby.
Well, welcome and thank you for joining us today. We are here to do the Heroes of the Storm art panel. I'm Kari Sutherland. I'm the Senior Art Manager for the Heroes of the Storm art team. And today we want to give you a little taste of all of the different art disciplines that go into bringing one of our heroes to life. And to do this, we're going to have a little bit different format than what we normally do. Instead of having 3 artists on stage the way we normally do, we're actually going to have 6. So about halfway through, you're going to see our first set of panelists leave, and we'll bring a second set on. So you'll get to see the whole pipeline of what it takes to do a hero from start to finish. And to do all this, we're going to concentrate on one particular hero, and in this case, it's going to be Malthael. And before I forget, there are 2 mics, I believe, out in the audience. Yes, I can see you now. And we actually would really love to answer questions from you folks, so please don't be shy. Step up to the mics, and if for whatever reason we can't get to your question before the end of the panel, please do meet us out front. We're going to be in the meet and greet area for about 15 to 20 minutes afterwards, and we'd love to talk to you there. So to start all of this off, what I'd like to do is introduce you to our first set of panelists. So I'm going to start with Luke. Luke, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're going to be showing us today?
Hi everyone, I'm Luke Mancini. I'm a concept artist on Heroes of the Storm, and today I've been at Blizzard about 9 years now, and today I'm going to be showing you a little bit of what it takes to transfer a character from one of our other IPs, namely Malthael from Diablo, into Heroes.
Okay, fantastic. And Andrew, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're going to be showing us today?
Yes, my name is Andrew Kinderbrew. I'm a senior 3D artist on the Heroes team. I've been with Blizzard for about a little over 6 years, and I've been on the Heroes team for a little over 5. Give credit where credit's due. I didn't originally work on Malthael for Heroes. That was Leslie Vandenbroek and Tamara Baklacheva. But I'm going to do my best and make them proud. I'm going to be working on something called retopology.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. And last but not least, Steven, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're going to be showing us today?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Hi, my name is Steven Miranda. I am a senior technical artist for the Heroes of the Storm team. And today I'll be showing you a little bit about how we rig Malthael and get him set up to be animated in Heroes of the Storm.
All right, thank you so much. Luke, you mentioned in your intro that you're going to be translating this from another one of our Blizzard IPs into Heroes of the Storm, obviously Diablo. So what are the kinds of things that you have to think about when you're doing that?
So the main thing is, coming from an IP like Diablo especially, which is, for Blizzard standards, quite a detailed, sort of realistic, gritty, has a style of game. We really have to take that and simplify it. So we have like the cinematic Malthael, which is what everybody remembers from that opening to Reaper of Souls. He is super detailed. His all of his fine filigree, his armor is super complicated, and so when it comes to heroes, I really have to choose what makes him distinct and what makes his silhouette unique. So it's things like these big streamers off his hood, or these big shoulder pad spikes that we're going to emphasize, and I'm going to try and capture this engraving and stuff while not going to quite this crazy level of detail.
Okay, so in a sense you're sort of editing it down into the most critical elements?
Yeah, basically. It's finding those things that make Malthael Malthael and instantly recognizable while still fitting in with all the other characters in Heroes of the Storm.
Okay, well, I can't wait to see what you do with that. Andrew.
Hi.
Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing right now?
Sure. Okay, so basically what I've got here is a blockout. This is what we do to get the silhouette, and we get the overall shapes of Malthael. The details, like the filigree and all that, haven't actually been added yet. So at this point, what I'm doing is I'm taking the shoulder pad and I'm bringing it into another program so that I can do what's called retopology. Now, this is used to make a model from a higher poly down to a lower polygon model.
Okay.
And what that does is it preps it for subdivision surface details, as well as some of the median details and our it's just a tool now.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Floop, floop.
Steven, we don't get to have riggers up on stage very often, so this is cool.
Yeah, this is quite an opportunity. Really pleased to be here.
So, what are you working on right now?
Well, what I kind of wanted to show was, rigging is this kind of in-between process that happens. I'll get a model from Brew, from Andrew Kinnebrew, and I set it up so that the animator can animate it, right?
Okay.
I like to describe it as kind of like digital puppetry. And basically, what you see right here, these are all bones, right? And bones are very much like bones in your body. Where I place them will determine where on the model that the model is going to bend at.
Okay.
So kind of what I'm doing right now is, if you see this red area is the area that is being influenced by bone arm. Well, I can kind of adjust this. So I can say all of this will be now influenced by bone arm. And you can see how that kind of will break things. So I don't really want to do that, but this is what a process we call weighting that allows me to kind of influence where how bones are going for Malthael.
Okay. So when you're doing that weighting, what are the kinds of things that you are thinking about?
A lot of it has to do with anatomy, and also just like good shapes. Like right here, I'm getting some pinching in this arm. So something like this, I might want to smooth out a bit, and you can see by doing this, I kind of start to get a much better fall off on this bend right here. So it's really just like kind of having a keen eye for form and for movement. I guess I observe a lot, I will watch the way that people move and try to see what makes a good deformation or what makes it believable,
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
Just so that the audience is aware, because these panels are so short and we're swapping people out about midway through, we're getting close to the midpoint. So if you have any questions for the first set of panelists, I'd encourage you to go ahead and step up to the mic. And Luke, I'm going to come back to you, because this is a super cool pose, but it's not an orthographic. Do you normally do your concepts like this, where there's a bit more movement?
I generally like to give a little bit more life to my concepts. Orthographic views can be super helpful, especially for like complicated mechanical stuff. But I think when it comes down to designing something that's going to work in game, at least putting them in a fairly sort of a neutral pose, but that's something that has a little bit of character, really helps the animators when they come to beginning with the character. Because if I just create a character, even if it was like this is pretty neutral. But even if you get that standard T pose, if I design armor that works really well in that T pose, suddenly an animator might get to it and realize as soon as they move their arms, things clip and things get complicated. So putting them at least something that is like, it's going to be their ready up pose, or like a stand that gives a little bit more character, I find really helps out.
Okay.
Plus it's just a bit more fun to draw.
Yeah, it does look pretty amazing. And actually, I'm going to switch back to Steven. Steven, you just heard what Luke was talking about with how he puts a bit of action in his concept poses. Mm-hmm. Does that help you when you're doing your rigging?
Yeah, certainly. And it especially helps the animator to kind of see what action we expect the concept to be. So, like for instance, for Malthael, he has a lot of cloth, and we were all really deeply inspired by the reverse hold cinematics. So for when I'm setting up the rig, something that I like to do, and sorry, this control rig. If anyone has any questions about what the control rig is, feel free to see me later at the meet and greet. But if you look here, this is Malthael's skeleton.
What the fuck?
One of the things that we really wanted to make sure we had was enough joints for his claw, so that when the animator goes to animate and they're trying to hit that pose that Luke set up, right? Then they'll have enough fidelity sort of in these areas to really get some nice shapes out of the cloth. So that was really important for us.
We have a question over here.
What?
I have a kind of really specific question about it.
Wo du was animiert haben möchtest.
Ja, du musst aber erstmal die 3D-Modelle erstellen. Ja. Ich meine, die scannen die ja ein, weil die ja die Figuren vormodulieren.
So it depends on the asset, of course. Usually what we're shooting for is around 12,000
hast du gefragt? Die einzigste anatomische Form, die du kennst, ist Kartoffel.
Basically,
Selbst eine Kartoffel ist was
that's
anständig.
dependent on their effects and what we need from that.
Okay.
Quiek.
And if I may add to that, actually. So there's, for games and for cinematics, it's very different. Just to give you guys some stats, like the cinematics version of Malthael had 750,000 tries, whereas ours only had 14,000. So, we really try to optimize so that the game plays and you get the best experience possible.
Yes. And we have another question.
This is again for Andrew. In terms of retopology for Modo, why do you prefer to use Modo to, Maya's rigging tools or maybe 3D code or something like that? Or is it just something you've been using forever, so you've just used it?
It's just a preference. It's just like a tool. My dad always talked about a musician that who would go to a pawn shop, buy a $50 guitar, and then eventually you'd come across some guy who saw him play and said, man, that guitar sounds really great, I'd like to buy it off you, and he'd sell it for like $3,000, and just go to another pawn shop, grab another $50 guitar. So it's just a tool. So, yeah.
So there's no, preference?
Nope, I mean, I like it. I work really well with it.
Okay.
But my suggestion would be find something that you like, you enjoy, and work well with, that fits with you.
Okay, cool, thanks.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
I'm wondering when you have characters that don't have a mount, is that more of an artistic decision, or does that happen as a story decision for characters that don't have a unique movement mechanic already built in?
I'm going to send that one towards Luke.
I think it comes down to, it's a little bit of the lore of the hero, so what would that hero be good, does that hero have a specific thing that they're seen doing in a cinematic or something? And part of it is there a cool way to make them move that doesn't involve them just getting on a horse? So there are a lot of heroes, so Diablo himself is a good example where he can just ride a horse because he's a big guy and he just sort of sits on it. It looks a little weird sometimes because we got some pretty small mounts. But he's got his Diablo charge, which feels really iconic to him. And so there are situations like that when there's something in a game. It's usually something in a game before that we're like, it'd be really great to capture this, and there's nothing design-wise that specifically speaks to that we can do with it, but is there a good way of showing that off? And we'll do that with our skins as well. And sometimes it's characters that just wouldn't necessarily fit on mounts, so some of our bigger characters like Asmodan, they're not specifically going to be able to ride on a horse because it's just physically not going to work. So then we have to come up with an interesting way of having them look like they're moving faster, even if you see them just while they're standing still. It's like, okay, they're mounted. And so that's a bit of a challenge as well.
Okay, thank you. Luke, I just noticed that you've gone beyond line work. Is this a normal part of your process?
I wouldn't normally go quite so quickly into color, but it definitely helps getting your silhouette down right away. Because with Malthael specifically, there are some interesting breakups in materials between his shiny metallic armor, his the dark sort of black cloth, and then these really bright white streamers here. So I think it's important for his silhouette to get those in early. A lot of the time I find myself getting too wrapped up in things in the details too early, and getting colors, at least base, locked in early can really help.
Okay, fantastic, thank you. Andrew,
yes.
What stage are you at here?
So basically, I'm just kind of roughing out the shape of what I had, adding additional kind of medium details of the shoulder pad. Basically, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get to, through the magic of my file here, trying to get to something more along this line. So what this is it's a little bit more detailed. It's got a few more medium details, and it's a little bit more cleaned up. So then what I can do is bring it into brush and have the shoulder pad ready for me to kind of sculpt on and start creating poetry.
Okay, fantastic. Yes, a question.
Hi, I was just wondering if there's any programs that you would recommend for someone trying to learn how to do 3D modeling that hasn't experienced it before, like anything that's user friendly, easy to learn.
Andrew.
So if you're interested in modeling, I do suggest Modo just because it kind of goes from a baseline, kind of like it's a good starting point. It's really focused on modeling. It does other things as well. And any skill, like, that's just a suggestion. But if you go to like Maya or 3ds Max, those are great programs too, and they're relatively industry standard. So you can use any of those, and the skills kind of transfer over. So just pick something, start to learn it. It's gonna be a little bit of a hill to climb, but once you start understanding what you got to do, it's actually really, really easy to transfer those skills from 3ds Max, Maya, Modo, XSI, whatever you're going to be using.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Another question from over here.
So it's probably more appropriate for Luke being a concept artist, but do you ever feel like you have a cool idea of, like, say, a new skin, but because of how the silhouette is supposed to be that character, that unique kind of silhouette, so you instantly recognize who it is? Like, for example, Ragnaros is, like, other elemental lords are cool skin ideas, but you gotta keep them red, or so you gotta, oh, that's Ragnaros, I know who that is.
So are you asking if we have to work within a certain set of constraints because of the existing IPs?
Necessarily IPs, just like...
Of the character.
And the character, like, oh, they have to be this way, or, like, cool skin idea, can't do it.
All right.
Yeah, we definitely come across that quite a lot, and I think for most of our heroes, we've tried to get a little bit of a list or an idea of, like, the things that we definitely need to keep to make sure that they're recognizable. And some heroes are more difficult than others in that respect. Like, someone like Malthael is not necessarily going to get confused with a lot of other heroes, even if we give him a skin that feels like it would fit somebody else. But that's definitely something that we play with, and it's definitely a conversation that we have with design. Like, sometimes we go through a process where, like, yes, we think we did it, we think we got the silhouette right, we think we got them readable, and it still feels like that character. And then design has some playtests with it, and it's like, we couldn't tell who that was. That you need to go back and make that clearer, because you've got issues there. We have some specific things that always come up between the Butcher and Stitches, because they're both big fat guys with a cleaver, basically, and it's like there's things you have to keep. The Stitches won't ever get, because the Butcher's got them served. Even though we do a lot of color variations between those, Stitches color variations usually will be on the cooler side, so he gets blue and Butcher gets red, and we try and keep them separated a little bit that way. But yeah, it's definitely something we really have to keep in mind, because if we didn't have any boundaries, we'd just go crazy.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more question. Do we have any more? Yes, sir.
Hi. I'm not sure if anyone on the panel there actually worked on Phoenix, but I have a question mainly for the animation portion. Was there a great amount of difficulty in getting him to walk in the particular way that he walks?
I think that's actually a really great question to ask Karina. She'll be coming on in a second here.
Okay.
Yeah. So hold on to that. We'll get back to you.
Maybe.
Fantastic. Well, we are closing up now the first portion of this, so I wanted to give each artist a chance to wrap up their time on the stage. Luke, what would you like to show us to wrap up your time?
So this is just a simple sketch of Malthael that I might do early on in our iteration to find some of the simple shapes that really read as that character from Diablo. And I'm also going to show you the final product, which is what he turned into in Heroes. This isn't a concept piece, this is an illustration that gets used for PR and UI and stuff. But it goes to show how we simplified his filigree and like the details in his armor into a Heroes-y style while trying to stay true to that Diablo feeling.
Fantastic. Thank you, Luke. And Andrew, yes. How would you like to wrap up your time on stage?
I just want to say that the retopology is really good to start off with like your low poly as well. So right here, basically I would take, say, these bits, and I would use them as my basis for the shoulder pad to move into UVs and texturing and that kind of thing. Basically, I would use this to bake information from, say, something like ZBrush, where I've actually taken all those details and added filigree and just went to town with it. And then you get something that's in game.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Steven,
hi.
How would you like to wrap up your time on stage?
Well, what I've been kind of doing is, now that I've had a weighted version of Malthael, what we usually try to do is test out the rig to make sure that it's deforming well, so that we're getting kind of those nice shapes that the animator needs to hit. And, you know, often, Karina could probably talk about this. Karina's our animator for Malthael. You know, she usually will test the rig, and that gives us a little bit of sorry, I had to put a fine detail right there, just a little head cock for Malthael. So she will usually test it out. But this is basically what I try to do to make sure that it's animation ready, is that, okay, does it hit the poses? Are we getting good deformations? And I'm pretty happy with that.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. And as you can see, we started swapping into our next panelists. So what I'd like to do is go through and introduce you to them as well. So I am going to start with Karina. Hi. Karina, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're going to be showing us today?
Sure. My name is Karina Kingdom. I'm the lead animator for Heroes of the Storm. I joined the team about, thank you, about 7 years ago now. I joined on StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm.
All good.
And I'm going to be showing you how we bring characters to life through the wonderful world of animation.
Fantastic. Thank you, Karina. And when you're starting out your animation process, what do you do to sort of get past that blank page?
Oh yeah, so as you can see on my screen here, basically when I first get the character, they look like this. And this is something we call basically it's their bind pose. It's how Stephen Miranda rigs the character. He's ready to go and he's ready for me to add movement. And I immediately start posing him. So I'll start bringing him down, test the rig. And I have an example, as you can see here. This is like a pose sheet where we are able to basically generate as many ideas as we can of how I think that the character will move. And like some things that are really tricky for us is, for example, how does Malthael ride a horse? I have here in the bottom right corner, this was an idea I had for how he would die, basically his death animation, how he would stand and how like his cloth sits on him. This was an idea, I really liked this, I think I got this from some concept art. I really react heavily to what Luke comes up with and what poses he creates. They're always the first things I try to reproduce in 3D, just to see how far I can push the character. If there are any changes I need, I can go straight to Tech Art and request them as early as possible before I start animating. Otherwise, I have the potential to lose work if we need to change anything drastically.
Okay, so at this stage, you could still go back to Stephen and ask for some changes if you needed.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And are you trying to get sort of the basic personality of the hero down as you're doing this too?
Exactly, depending on the character. If they're bubbly, if they're, you know, happy, or if they're evil, and if they're, you know, sinister like Malthael, I'll try to get that through in every single pose. It's something I focus on throughout every animation, not just the attacks. If I know that he's sinister, I'll try to get it through how he walks, how he rides a horse even, which is very difficult with him. I focus on that personality type.
Fantastic. Thomas, thank you for joining us on stage. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're going to be showing us today?
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Thomas Horwath. I'm a senior effects artist on the Heroes of the Storm team. I've been with Blizzard for about 2.5 years now, and Malthael was actually the first hero that I had the pleasure of working on, so I'm really excited to show you guys some of his abilities today, Specifically, I'm going to be focusing on his Wraith Strike. Really cool way how we bring gameplay design and make a visual element for it. If I have time at the end, I'll show you how we did his ability wings as well.
And I just want to add in that if you've seen Orphea out on the showroom floor or in one of our earlier talks, Thomas did the effects for Orphea. So. And Miguel, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're going to be showing us today?
Sure. Hi, my name is Miguel Duran. I am a user interface artist for Heroes of the Storm. I've been at the studio for about 2 years now, so UI gets involved in the hero development process in a lot of aspects, but today I'll be showing you just the creation of one icon. So.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to seeing that. Thomas, I'm going to jump back to you really quickly.
Click.
A lot of what you do, I know, has to do with translating gameplay into a visual.
That's right.
Can you talk about how you approach that?
Yeah, so that's absolutely right. Effects' job basically is to take something that can be simple, like Malthael's teleport, which essentially is just moving him from point A to point B and bringing it to life with something exciting. And so what we get at the end of taking somebody going from one place to another is hopefully something that's cool looking, that people enjoy. And this is what I'm going to be showing you guys today, is how we take something like that and bring a visual element and excitement to it.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. And Miguel, you mentioned that you are going to be doing an icon for us today.
I will.
When you're approaching this, are there things that you're thinking about from the beginning in your design?
So I'd like to focus on multiple icons when I'm doing this, not a single one. So I can show you an example of what this is. I made a sketch of basically all of them and how they're going to look. And what my focus is here is making sure that they have a unique silhouette and they represent the ability that was designed. So that's my only focus. I want to make sure that they read. So this is my very first step. Once I get a sketch that I'm happy with, I can move on to basically the stage that you guys are seeing here, which is kind of the final stage where I kind of go and block in the large, broader shapes. Basically this one, I'm working on the alt. And what I can do here is make changes here and kind of preview them in various places in the UI. So here you can see on this side, it gives me an idea of the size and also just kind of guiding me through and making sure that it reads. We'll see.
Okay, so you're not just looking at one place that shows up in the UI, you have to kind of think about all of it.
It helps to see, yeah, various places in the UI. Yep.
Okay, thank you, Miguel. I think I see a question over here.
Hi. I want to ask if you had any specific challenges that you have when it comes to characters that transform, like when Ragnaros uses his ult or Alexstrasza goes dragon form.
Karina, would you want to take that one? Alexstrasza, Thomas, did you have an Alexstrasza? Or Thomas?
No, that was Matt Ramos, but challenges in bringing an ability to life, basically, and
or is it
the
transition between the two states?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great example of some of the collaborative work that we have to do. You know, the transition of Alexstrasza from dragon form, human form to dragon form, was not just one department. That was modeling, of course, making the two different models. It's animation, making a great pose, and then effects layering on top of that, something that they can easily show that transition. And it's the layers of all of that work put together that really make it sting. We do this a lot. There's never one part of development solely on one person's shoulders, and that's what makes us such a great team, is how we work together.
Thank you.
Okay.
And we have a question on the left.
Hi again. My question's kind of closely related to what he just asked. It was about a particular hero, Phoenix, and his movement animation being completely unique and different from everything else. I just wanted to know if there was great difficulty in bringing that to life.
Oh, I can take that one. Yes, there was. That was the first time we had done anything like that. He has 8-directional movement going on underneath the hood. He was animated by one of our brilliant animators, Matt Parker. Overall, his animation set was not as high as most of our characters are, but that was definitely something we struggled with a lot in terms of without his feet moving, he still actually has 8-way multi-directional movement in the code, and so we had to be aware of that. That caused a lot of issues with some of his abilities, sort of making him face the wrong way. Yeah, so that was a real challenge. But now that we know how to do it, it makes it easier for any future heroes that we do that need to do that.
Okay, and again, I just wanted to let everyone know that we're approaching the midway point for the second part of the panel, so if you have questions, please don't be shy, step up to the mic, and we can go over here.
Hi there. I was wondering, as far as on the Heroes of Storm team, do you guys wear many hats? Like, for example, with UI art, are you exclusively doing UI art, or do you mix it with any other thing?
Oh, Miguel, you do a lot.
My role is mainly UI art, yes. But also anything that's UI design related to menus. Because Heroes is already a live game and a lot of the style is already established. We don't do as much UI per se as like menu creation or features. It's mostly hero development for me. There are other areas like implementation that UI handles. And for different artists, like other UI artists do different things.
Yeah, I guess I would say particularly our UI department, that's a really great question for them, because even though we have several different UI artists, they each have somewhat overlapping skill sets, but their own areas where they're really strong. So for example, we have one UI artist, Elaine, who's half programmer, so she does a lot of her own implementation. But Miguel, you also do illustrations for the game as well.
I have done some raw key art as well, but it's mostly hero development for me, like icons, things like the bottom corner. You can see like the quest trackers with the animations. Like Jaina had an update to her quest that had animated when she completed it. I don't know if you play the game at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, those kinds of things we do, or I do.
So yes, the answer is people do wear different hats.
All right, thank you.
Fantastic. And we have another question.
Hi, yeah, my question's for Karina. When animating a character like Malthael, who has wings, in the rig there, his wings look very simplified, but we know that his wings can kind of spider out to almost be bat-like. How does that work with that rig? Because it doesn't look like that rig can do that.
That's exactly right, yeah. So he has two sets of wings, basically. We have a bone count, basically. We can only have so many joints implemented on a character, and we really, because he has so much cloth, and we really wanted to have a lot of fun with the classic Malthael wings that you recognize from his cinematics, and so that's where Thomas and I worked really closely together. So I would animate a second set in a scene where the only thing in that scene is a set of wings, and then it gets attached in game. And what happens is these wings get scaled down instantly inside of his back. They're still there, they're just hidden. And then the new set of wings get instantly on the same frame displayed. Did you have anything you wanted to show to that?
Yeah, that was actually something I was going to show towards the end, but check it out. So as Karina said, his ability wings are a completely separate model. We built this, again, cross-department. It was modeled by me, the textures and the material work and the effects and smoke that go with it, but it was rigged by Stephen Miranda, who was up here earlier, and it was animated by our lovely Karina Kingdom. And guess what? Not only is it its own ability wings, but it has to work in transition, like we talked earlier, with the hero. So it's one of these perfect examples where once it's all put together, we have a seamless transition, hopefully, between his base wings and his ability wings.
And Karina, for that specific animation right there, how much of a pain is it to make sure that his cloth is not clipping through his arm, like the drapings that come off his hood, to make sure that doesn't clip through his arm when he moves that fast? Do you really have to pay attention to that and have to sometimes go back and be like, oh shoot, I messed up?
Yeah, the first thing I do whenever I animate anything is I ignore the clipping and I let it just go through it. And it's not until the very end of production where I will go through every single animation and check where everything is and make sure that it isn't. That was something that I was constantly struggling with, particularly with his ribbons.
Yeah.
With the wings, I'm not worried. If anything is ethereal and see-through, I'm fine with things clipping through that. And particularly if it happens really fast across like one frame, no one's going to notice it. It's going to be something that only the developer knows about.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you.
Thank you. And actually, Trudeau, while we're on you,
can you talk a little bit about cloth in Heroes, because that is its own challenge?
Yeah. So one of the things that is unique to Heroes is that we allow like multiple computers like types to work with our game engine, and so we can have both cloth physics, which is computer generated cloth, and we can also have physics turned off. And what that means is that every single character in game, we need to animate all of the cloth. And from Mattel, that was like a particularly unique challenge, because every single piece has to be animated, hand animated, and we follow like the parting in particular is something that's really, really finicky to make it look realistic. The first character we did that with was Oriole. She had this really cool ribbon tech that Steve Miranda is just absolutely improving with every character. With Malthale, we got the ribbon tech continued, and then Kel'Thuzad went even further.
And she may not have emphasized that. She did all three of those in a row, so
I was dreaming about ribbons.
it was a lot of work. So I think we have a question over here.
Hi, I was blown away by Orphea's VFX design. So how did you start researching, doing all that like kind of effects, and what design challenges did you see going into it?
That is a great question. Orphea had a lot of variation. We're fortunate enough to work with some really talented artists across the board, but Orphea specifically went through a lot of different stages. We started early trying to prototype and get something into the game. We had base models that we got from our character artist at Vadim, and we tried to animate those and put in some temp effects as early as we could to try and figure out what works, because the number one thing that we have to focus on is our gameplay design. One of our core values is gameplay first, and that's absolutely the number one thing we think about, whether we're doing design or art or animation. So for Orphea, it was definitely a challenge to try and make her as exciting as possible, but also make her fit, you know, the really unique and fun gameplay that
Thank you.
Thank you.
Another question.
This is a follow-up with his, and mine is catered towards Thomas with effects. When you're working in Max or Maya to create effects, how do you design it so that it reads the same in Max as it would in, let's say, Unity or Unreal, when you're making hand-painted textures for the effects?
So these are tools, and I mean, this is something that I would stress for anybody that wants to try and get into games. Don't be tied down to whatever software you're using. It's really about the fundamentals that you're trying to bring. So whether I'm using Max or Maya or Unreal or Unity, the foundation of all of it is exactly the same. A particle system is a particle system. It comes down to more about the understanding of how you're going to use it. You can learn a tool, learn where the buttons are in a different tool. As long as you're able to apply the knowledge and the skills that you have to those programs, you'll be able to succeed. And so for us, we have our tools in Max, and that's primarily where we work. When it comes to hand-painted textures, I use Photoshop, but those are going to translate across whatever program you're working with.
Okay. I think we have time for maybe one, possibly two questions. So.
My question was a gameplay question. So with characters like Kel'Thuzad, who has a big flowing cape, how do you decide where to place his hitbox and what size it should be?
That's something that we work really closely with design on. A lot of characters have large amount of gameplay space, like Asmodee, for example, and Zagara, and we recently actually reduced hitboxes for them. There's two types. There's collision and then there's hitbox. And collision is what actually blocks you from being able to interact with other models and meshes and characters in game. And then there's hitbox, which is what you can target in order to do damage. And that one is actually a lot smaller than the collision. But yeah, so basically when we start a character, there's a default one that we do, and we attach it to their chest and their root sort of location. And then we react to the feedback that we get as we play a character more and more and more.
All right, okay. I think we're going to need to start wrapping up our panel, so I apologize if we didn't get to your questions. We can talk with you later out in the meet and greet area, but for now, what I'd like to do is have Karina, is there anything that you would like to do to show us so I can close out your time on stage?
Show you a finished animation we had. This was his walk animation. This was a lot longer than most of our walk animations. It's 3 times the length, about 300 frames. And the reason for that was because the rhythms themselves actually take a lot longer to cycle through the animation in comparison to body. Fantastic. Thank you. And Thomas, how would you like to close out your time on stage?
Well, I was going to show you guys the ability wings, but I already did that, so I've got a little video I can show that kind of shows it off a little bit. So, again, this is how Karina, myself, and Steven Miranda worked together to bring his wings to life, and we really wanted to try and hit the moment from the cinematics in Diablo 3 that everybody was familiar with, and bring it into the Heroes of the Storm gameplay, even though we made the decision to have his base wings be a little bit more subdued for gameplay reasons.
Thank you, Thomas. And Miguel. How would you like to wrap up your time on stage?
I'd like to show you guys kind of what I've come up with so far. You guys have been able to see, I've been trying to preview what it looks like in small. And this helps me because I can go in on the details without having to go in here and working with pixels. So I need to make sure that I can have enough space to draw in some of the details that I want. Not to go too detailed, and I don't want to dwell on the details as much, so I'm drawing as fast as I can. A sense of what the icon's going to look like. And I'm also positioning, like the ghost here, if I copy him.
Oh, erstmal einen kleinen Geist kopieren.
Making sure that it kind of fits in the
Geist.
That you see in the HUD here. So that's basically my focus.
Okay, so again, you're making sure that it's distinct and easily readable in all the different applications that we use it in the game.
Yes.
Thank you, Miguel. Well, at this point, what I'd like to do is we have a video out back. If you could get that rolling. What we wanted to do is show you how all of this actually comes together in the game. So as we're going through the pipeline, we start out with those amazing concepts from Luke. Our character artists like Andrew actually modeled that. We need a rigger who gives it all the controls that we need for it to be animation ready. It's incredibly important. And then these folks that are on the stage here are the ones that really make it move and come to life and show our gameplay through their visuals as they do their work. So the animator, the effects artist, and the UI artist would work very closely together to make sure that all comes together, which is really amazing. And there you go. We've got everything. So thank you, everybody.
Es ist Malte.
We have all of our artists. So thank you for coming. We appreciate it. I know there were a few of you that didn't have an opportunity to ask the questions that you wanted to ask. As I said earlier, we are going to be out in the meet and greet area for the next, 15-20 minutes. So please join us out there, and we'd love to.
Next.
Thank you.
Thank you.